Hi there, I am Lisa Huff. I am a hairstylist and studio suite owner in Lincoln, Illinois. I have been posting my work onto Facebook and Instagram for the last little over a year. Just a few months ago, I started uploading some of my videos onto this YouTube channel, and without really even noticing or trying, I've gained a little bit of a following. I have about 750 subscribers right now. I just wanted to pop on before this video starts and say thank you so much for all of you that have subscribed to me so far. I really appreciate it, and I want to start putting more time and effort into this channel. So if you have any video suggestions for me whatsoever, if majority of you are stylists and you want to see things that I do behind the chair and techniques, please let me know. Now if you're not professional and you want to see at-home stuff, DIY, hair tutorials, things like that, I would love any feedback. I will have all the rest of my social media linked down below so you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And in this video today, I am doing a first-time client named Lene. She used to have foil highlights, and we are transitioning her into a more hand-painted, lived-in balayage look. So if you want to see how I achieve this, then just keep watching. Okay, so let's get into this. Hopefully that first intro wasn't too awkward, but we're gonna roll with it. I have had requests for more detailed lived-in balayage techniques, so I took this video in real time rather than a time lapse, and I just want to talk through my process with you guys, and hopefully you learn something from it. Okay, so here is my client Lene's canvas that we are starting with. You can see she has some old grown out foil highlights. We just want to make her ends a little brighter and blur that line of demarcation so she can have a soft, seamless grow out. For my lightener, I am using a mixture of Matrix V lights and Redken Freehand with 30 volume developer plus Olaplex. I mix the two lighteners because I like the consistency I get with them. It's really nice and spreadable. Here I am showing Lene her line of demarcation from these old highlights. During consultation, we talked about not doing a root smudge and just keeping her natural root, but when I lifted that section up, I pointed out to her that I think a root smudge would be best. As stylists, it's really important to speak up in a situation like this. Now, of course, if she insisted no, then we wouldn't have done one, but to get a flawless balayage, we wouldn't be able to just blend with lightener. We would also need that root smudge. So she agreed, so you'll see later in this video that we do end up doing a root smudge. I explained to Lene that when doing a root smudge, I like to use Redken Shades EQ, which is a demi-permanent color. It gives very sheer coverage. It will also fade slowly as her hair grows out, so there will never be a line of demarcation that she will have to touch up when her roots grow out. So it's still super soft and low maintenance. All the root smudge does is blur that line and add some depth. It doesn't make it much darker than your natural hair color at all. As I'm painting, I really focus the lightener on the darker areas of each section. When I paint some sections, I do a standard V pattern and blur it up on the edges, but other sections, I just look at my canvas and paint where I see that I need to add light. Always remember that we want the depth or darkness or shadows up near the root with a bit coming down to add dimension, and the light or brightness or blonder pieces down near the ends, focused around the face, and then some coming up to play into that dimension as well. It's important when you're done painting each section to pick it up and look at the bottom before laying it down. You want to make sure that there are no big globs of lightener that have bled through. You want the bottom to look just as seamless as it does on the top. I am separating my sections with MB mesh. I really like these because they are reusable, so it's better for the environment and it saves money. They are also more comfortable on the client's face. They're soft and flexible, so they won't have any like hard foils poking them. Now, sometimes I use foils if I really want to incubate the hair and get maximum brightness, but for Lene, I was happy with the lift that I would get from 30 volume and using the mesh strips. I always wipe my hands after each section because I don't ever want to have any lightener on my gloves and then go to section and clip up and accidentally leave a spot on the hair. So yes, it takes some extra time, but it's important to stay clean while you're painting so that you don't have any spots when you're done. I am always very generous when I am doing this section right on her part and around her face. The point of balayage is to recreate what the sun would do, so the very top and near the face would always be the lightest. Now this piece right by her forehead on her part, that is like the most important piece of hair on the whole head. So really take your time to make it bright and blended. I don't even tease this section, and I bring the lightener almost all the way up to the scalp, very carefully blending in. After that section is done, I like to go to the other front section. Now again, the sun would always make the hair lighter around the face, so I like to get the front done before I move on to the back so that those sit with the lightener the longest. When you see me holding the hair, I am surface painting, and then when I switch to the back of my hand and I'm pressing the hair between my hand and the brush, that is when I am fully saturating. This is why a clay lightener is so important, so that you can just surface paint. If you use a lightener that is too thin or wet rather than laying on the surface, it would sink into the hair and cause spots, and we don't ever want that. And for any of you wondering, I am using a 2-inch chip brush, which I have mentioned in previous videos. You can get them at any hardware store. I just got this one from Walmart. I like to buy them in bulk because after a few uses, the bristles get pretty gummy and gross because it's natural hair, and they can only be bleached so many times. I like these brushes because the bristles are thick and condensed, so they cover a lot of surface, but they're also so soft and they give you a really great blend. Okay, I'm trying not to make this video too long, so I cut out a good portion of that because I think you've seen me paint a lot of sections now. I want to show you just a little bit down at the nape of the neck. I like to bricklay back here because right at the round of the head, I find that this is the best way to get coverage and still have a nice blend. You can see as I'm bricklaying, I am also doing a mix of diagonal, horizontal, and zigzag partings again. Some of these you can really see the highlight lines, so I always give a little back comb and then work on blending any highlight lines so that they're super seamless and not any like chunks of highlight slices. And then I just keep working like that all the way up to the top. Okay, so now that I laid that last one, I will go ahead and let Lene process. I always go back and check those front pieces and make sure that they are as light as I want them to be, and I always kind of like scrape them with my fingernail and pull on them and just make sure they're holding up nice and not getting over processed. If I ever feel like they're crossing into that line of getting a little weak, I'll pull the mesh strips out, and this will let them totally dry out in open air. Then once she's all ready and bright, I bring her back to rinse and tone. Here I use Redken Shades EQ in 09B, 09T, and 09V. And then here you can see what that looks like after processing. After shampooing that toner out, I bring my client back to my chair to do the root smudge. Today I'm using 05N in shades. I started applying the root smudge to her and realized I didn't start filming, so I'm kind of just going back over everything, making sure that there's no dry spots and that everything is fully saturated. What I usually do is section everything vertically. I think that gives a really soft, seamless blend rather than applying horizontally. Here you'll see me going horizontal, but that's because I am just going back over and touching up some pieces. When I first apply, I always like to do vertical. On some sections where I can see those highlight lines, I make sure to drag this color down a little further to erase those harsh lines. I am always careful when I'm lifting the partings up not to let that blonde touch the 05N on the roots because we want to keep those ends really light and spot free. Now, I know Lene's natural level is only about a 6, between a 6 and a 7, but because I am applying to damp hair, that dilutes the color a bit, and I don't usually let it sit for the full 20 minutes, so that's why I choose level 5 rather than a 6 or a 7. Okay, and to determine when to rinse, I just want to add this in real quick. With Redken Shades EQ, I learned in a class once was to apply it, walk away. Don't keep watching it or you're going to want to rinse it early because you see that color pull right away. So as soon as you look at it and think, oh shit, it went too far, that's the right time to rinse. This goes for toners and smudges because if you watch it closely and rinse as soon as it looks ready, you'll wish you would have let it go for 5 more minutes. With shades, you need to just let it go, walk away, let it do its thing, and then in like 5 or 6 minutes, come back, look at it again, and if you're like, oh shit, it's silver, oh shit, it's blue, that's when you have the perfect shade. By the time you shampoo and dry it, you need that cool pigment in that blonde hair while it's wet to get a really nice icy result dry. So if you take one little lesson from this video, I hope you take that because that was something I struggled with for a long time. I would always rinse toners and smudge roots prematurely and not get the amount of coverage out of my shades as I should have. And then after washing the root smudge out, I do an Olaplex treatment at the bowl, bring her back to my chair, give her a nice little trim and some curls. And here you can see the gorgeous result we ended up with, a nice blended root. You can't see those previous highlight lines anymore, and her ends are nice and bright. So if you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Bye.